Merry Christmas everybody and welcome to the big Christmas bake-along. I hope you're excited and ready to bake. We are going to be making some lovely snowman cookies. Oh, hi Harry.
Hello Julie. Hello everybody.
Are you alright?
Yeah, I'm good thanks Julie. I'm just a bit annoyed we can't all be together. We've got to do this over video chat. That's a bit annoying. But I am looking forward to Christmas. Especially the food. Can you imagine the turkey and the roast potatoes and the Yorkshire puddings? I'm even looking forward to the sprouts. And then there's the desserts as well. The puddings and the biscuits and the cakes. It's going to be amazing. Just thinking about the food is making me hungry.
Well, how about instead of just thinking and talking about food, we get on and bake some Christmas cookies?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do it.
Well, let's get going with the baking, shall we? This is a fantastic recipe. It's really easy, it's really forgiving. So if you're not used to baking or you're baking with really little kids, this will be a really good one for you. I've been baking with my now 4-year-old for a couple of years now, and we would have a lot of fun with this recipe. I'll help you out with how to involve really little kids as we go along. Now, first things first, I know we're in a pandemic, you're all washing your hands every 20 minutes, but please, clean hands. Ready? Fantastic. We are going to start off with some butter or marge or whatever you've got. The main thing is that it needs to be soft. I am using super cheap supermarket marge and it will come out just great. It's 100 grams of this. I'm going to need something to clean my finger with in a minute because it's probably not a good idea to lick my finger on camera. There we go, that'll do. Out of the way. So, just going to pop your butter, marge, whatever it is that you've got, into your lovely mixing bowl. Now, it doesn't matter if your mixing bowl looks like this one. It also doesn't matter if... oh, this isn't the one with the big crack in it. Now I'm just gibbering away to myself. So this is possibly the most difficult bit and it's right at the start. So let's get it out of the way. We're going to get the butter or marge all beaten up and nice and soft. And the word that bakers use is fluffy, but I'm never comfortable with that because I don't like the idea of fluff in my food. But you're just going to give it a really good mix until your spoon goes through it nice and easily. Now, I'm not just holding it up here so that you can see it. It's also, this is a really easy position to do this in. I think my mum taught me to beat butter like this when I was quite young. So when that's all nice and mixed, this is one where your little ones, your 3, 4, 5-year-olds can have a good go at stirring that. Right, we've got some lovely, soft, fluffy butter. Next, you're going to need some sugar. Now before we get the sugar, we need to remember to put the oven on or else these cookies are not going to cook. So you're going to put it on to about 180. But again, it's a very forgiving recipe. And as you can see, my oven doesn't even have the handle for the temperature control. So about 180, get your oven warming up, check there aren't any tins in it from last night's tea. Now we need some sugar. Now it really doesn't matter what sort of sugar you've got. After a lot of experimentation, I can tell you that I really like it with about half caster sugar, so about 50 grams of caster sugar and about 50 grams of soft light brown sugar. But honestly, whatever you've got is fine. The sugar that you put in your tea is fine. The more, if you've got brown sugar, because you've been making a Christmas cake and that's all you've got, that's fine. If it's all dark brown sugar, your snowmen will have a little bit of a suntan, but not to worry, they'll be delicious. If you're using Demerara sugar, they might come out a bit crunchy, but it really doesn't matter. They will come out delightful no matter what you use. So 100 grams of whatever sugar comes to hand. Pop that in with your butter or marge, and you're just going to mix that in. Go a little bit slowly to start off with so that it doesn't all jump out of the side of the bowl. And then as it starts to mix in, grab your small child, if you have one, and they can start to have a go at mixing. And this is just going to mix and mix and mix. Mixy, mixy, mix, 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 mix. That's our little mixing song that me and Isaac sing while we're cooking. Worrying insights into my life. And again, it's going to be that lovely baking word, fluffy, which just means really easy to get your spoon through. Now, so we've got sugar and butter, and the next thing you're going to need is about a tablespoon of syrup. Or, if you can't be bothered to get a tablespoon dirty, a big squidge. I don't think I've measured a tablespoon of syrup in years. There we go. Just mix it all in. Mix, 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 mix. Now, so you've just got a nice, smooth, evenly coloured mixture. Now you're going to need some self-raising flour. Now those of you who are keen cooks will be slightly surprised about self-raising flour in cookies. Cookies, to get that nice lift and that nice texture, they often have an egg in them. This recipe doesn't have an egg, it's got self-raising flour instead, which is great. You need 150 grams of flour in total. As you can see, I can't talk and look at numbers at the same time. There we go. So pop about half of it in to start off with. Get that mixing, and again, start off slowly so that it doesn't all jump out of your bowl. Pass the spoon to a small person, let them have a good little stir around. And then as it starts to come together, it'll start to look a bit like cookie dough. Starting to look like cookies.
Julie, do you want to hear a joke?
Oh, okay then.
Why did the baker have smelly hands?
I think I've heard this one before.
Because he needed a poo.
Yeah.
Oh, my heck. Oh.
Okay, now it's time to add some Christmassy flavours. So I'm going to pop in, if you've got a bit of vanilla, paste, extract, flavouring, anything like that, just pop that in. Little blurt, doesn't really matter. If you don't have any vanilla, don't worry about it. Any of these flavourings, if you don't have them, don't stress it, they'll taste great without. They'll just be a little bit more Christmassy with them. Now I've got some ground ginger and some ground mixed spice. I'm going to pop about 1/4 teaspoon in, which is just a little tiny dot. These aren't going to be strong like a gingerbread man, they're just going to have a little hint of Christmassiness. But if you don't like ginger or you don't like mixed spice, just leave it out. So just get that mixed in, nice and evenly all the way through. And then plonk in the rest of the flour. Technical baking term, the plonk. And again, start off slowly, just so it doesn't all go everywhere. And that's it. That's the biscuit dough made. Now we're going to turn them into snowmen. Now for that, you're going to need a baking tray. Now don't worry if you don't have a fancy one, I'm actually going to use the one that came with the oven. If it's got any bits of like dried on sausage or chip fat, probably clean those off first. But the reason this is good is because it's a nice big tray and these cookies do take up quite a bit of room in the oven. If you've got baking paper, then line it with some baking paper. If not, then just smear some marge or butter over it and then a good dusting of flour and your cookies should come off just fine. I'm going to take my wedding ring off so it doesn't end up full of cookie dough. Now we're going to make these up into little snowmen, and to do that you're going to need 2 different sizes of spoon. Now I'm going to measure these out using a tablespoon and a half tablespoon spoon, one for the body and one for the head. If you don't have spoon measures like this, just use a normal eating teaspoon and pick up a good scoop for the body. Actually, I'm going to need a teaspoon just. Now at this point, it is very important that your hands are clean, so if you didn't take my advice and wash them earlier, do so now. So you're gonna just roll them into a little, slightly ooey gooey circle. Mix has come out very ooey gooey today, actually. So if it's nice and sticky like this, then you'll be having as much fun as I am. This is gonna get messy. I think my butter might have got a bit melty under these lines, which does make me sound like a proper telly chef. Now, you're going to put them next to one another, but not touching. Because what you want is a nice snowman shape. You want to put them about a finger width apart. If you get them a bit too far apart, either the head won't be attached very well or it might even be completely disconnected. It won't matter, you can glue it back on with icing. If you put them too close together, they'll sort of smudge together to make one great big blob, and then your snowman will look a bit like we all do after lockdown, like they've eaten a bit too much ice cream. Either way, they'll taste great, so it doesn't matter, but if you put them about a finger width apart, they should come out looking pretty good. And we're just going to work our way through. Nice big blob for the body. Oop. And then a smaller blob for the head. And it should make about 10 snowmen and a big old mess. I can feel myself getting into a mess as we go along. This is why TV chefs then cut to it all being done. But you're baking along with me, so you get to watch this mess happening. If your mixture is really sticky, which mine is today, it might help if your hands are a bit wet. So I'm just going to wash mine and do this with wet hands because it'll be a little bit easier. That's better. See, with wet hands, you just get a nice little ball. Lovely. And the head about, that's a very small finger, about a finger width apart. Don't forget to give them a bit of space from one another because they'll spread out in the oven. We're putting them on as little sort of balls and they will flatten out in the oven. Brilliant. Well, hopefully your snowmen are all laid out, looking great on their tray. They're going to go in the oven. Now we're going to pop a timer on for you, but if you want to, you can put one on for 10 minutes, okay? Harry?
Yeah?
Have you actually got anything in that bowl?
No. I was just pretending. I just wanted to feel part of it.
Okay, well Harry, why don't you get on and tell us the story?
Oh, okay, yeah. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Harry, I meant the Christmas story?
Oh, the Christmas story. That makes more sense. Well, this is the story of a loving God coming down to a lonely earth. But I'm not sure I could do the story justice. So my friend Mary is here to help me. She was actually there. So, Mary, what happened?
I was living in Nazareth. I was about to get married to a man named Joseph, and an angel of the Lord appeared to me.
An angel? Wow, that must have been so cute, with their fluffy little wings and their white coats. Did it have one of those shiny headbands? Did it?
No, it was terrifying. Angels aren't cute and cuddly. It just appeared out of nowhere and it shone as bright as the sun.
Oh, that's not what I expected.
But the angel said, "Do not be afraid, you have found favour with the Lord. He will give birth to a baby boy. You will name him Jesus and he will be great."
Whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't get a wedding invitation.
No, I wasn't married yet.
Well, how did you have a baby then?
Well, I asked the angel about that, and he said that God would work a miracle and I would become pregnant, and I did.
This story just keeps getting stranger.
A couple of months later, the emperor made a law that everybody had to go back to their hometowns.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I had to go all the way back to Doncaster. Someone needs to do something about these motorways.
Joseph's hometown was a place called Bethlehem, and we had to travel all the way there whilst I was pregnant with a baby. I think I had the harder journey.
Oh, okay, you win that one.
Once we arrived, we looked around for a place to stay, but there was no space in any of the hotels, pubs or inns.
You couldn't get in anywhere. That's a bit like lockdown.
Well, eventually we managed to get one of the innkeepers to let us stay in one of their stables. It was a bit smelly, but it was warm and dry.
Ugh, that's not very hygienic.
Well, there wasn't exactly a hospital to go to. It was in that stable that I had my baby, wrapped him in some blankets and placed him in a manger.
So, what's a manger?
It's a box that animals feed from.
Oh, that's disgusting. And you put your baby in it. That's like putting him in a giant bowl.
It's not quite the same, but we named him Jesus, just as the angel told us to.
Thanks, Mary. Let's see how the cookies are doing. They're not done yet. I know. I've got a good game for you to play. This game is called Bring Me. So I'm going to say a category like blue or soft or Christmassy. Okay? And then you have to find something that fills that category and bring it to the oldest person in your house. Okay? Does everyone know who the oldest person in their house is? Have you found them? Alright, are you ready? Here we go. Can you bring something blue? Can you bring me something that is hard? Something that's really hard. Can you bring me something that has a face? Can you bring me something that is slimy? Really slimy. Ugh. Can you bring me something that goes on your hand? Can you bring me something that is green? Bring me something green. It can't be snot. I won't accept that. Can you bring me something that tastes amazing? Can you bring me something that's shiny? Can you bring me something that is red? Can you get something thin? Can you bring something round? Can you get something yellow? Can you bring something Christmassy?
Sorry to interrupt, Harry, but it's time to get the cookies out of the oven.
That's alright, that was a good place to do it.
Don't forget to get a cloth or something for your hand. Lovely, I'm going to turn the oven off now, then I don't forget. Now, as you can see, some of mine have sort of squidged together a bit in the oven. That's absolutely fine. What we're going to do is get them out onto a cooling tray. Now, if you don't have a fancy baking cooling tray, you probably had a rack that goes on your oven tray. You can pop them onto those. It's just so that they'll cool down nice and quickly and not get all kind of sweaty and revolting. If they've got a bit stuck together, just kind of prise them apart a little bit, and then we're going to slide them out and carefully pop them. There will be a bit squidgy and easily misformed. So if any of them are a bit misformed, you might be able to like poke them back into shape. And needless to say, this is not a job for small children. This is a very hot tray. Ooh. Get off, there we go. And if you don't have a nice bendy palette knife, any decent sized kitchen knife that you can just slide under to help lift them. If the heads fall off, don't worry about it, we can glue them back on later. If only all of life was that simple. We're all done.
Well, hi everyone. Hope you're enjoying the baking. It's great to have you with us. I just wanted to really briefly introduce myself. I'm Pete. I'm the pastor here at Trinity Church, and we just wanted to wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We'd love to see you at more events at Trinity Church in the future. We're based in the north of Manchester, in Prestwich, and we've got a whole variety of different things coming up in the near future. We've got our carol service tomorrow, 10 a.m. on YouTube, Sunday the 20th of December. And of course, there's plenty of things coming up in 2021 too. So we look forward to seeing you again. But from all of us, as I say, Merry Christmas. And now back to the baking.
Okay, so the cookies need to cool for 10 minutes now before we can decorate them. Let's play a game. Shepherd Dan is going to help us out with the next bit of our story. Now, I don't know how much you guys know about shepherds in those days, but they used to live up on the hills, far away from everybody else. They were very lonely people. They're also quite smelly.
Oi, who are you calling smelly? I'll have you know I don't smell. And my sheep have never complained anyway.
Exactly. So what have you got to do with Mary's baby?
Well, me and the lads were up on the hills and the moors, minding our flocks at night. And we were just looking after our sheep, making sure that no wolves were going to get to them. And all of a sudden...
Can you not turn those sheep down a bit?
What are you talking about? How am I supposed to turn sheep down? Hang on. Is that better?
Phew. So you were on the hill with your sheep.
Yes, me and the lads were up on the hills, minding our flocks at night, when all of a sudden an angel of the Lord came down, and it shone bright like the sun.
Another angel? I've heard that they're terrifying.
Yeah, it was well terrifying. We were all so afraid, and it shone so brightly that it just made me realise how bad I was compared to God. But the angel said, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news of great joy for you and all the people. For today a Saviour has been born, and you'll find him wrapped in cloth, lying in a manger."
What did the angel mean by a saviour?
I don't know. Truth be told, I don't know what he meant. But we had to find out what was going on about. So we planned to go down into Bethlehem. But then all of a sudden, loads more angels came out of nowhere, and they started singing. They started singing such beautiful, beautiful songs. They were just heavenly.
Well, they are angels.
Yeah, I suppose. It sounded something like this. Glory be to God on high, and to the earth, peace on whom his favour rests. Man, you had to be there. It was amazing. I had songs stuck in my head ever since then.
I'm not sure you've done it justice there. Maybe it was better in person. So what did you do next?
Well, me and lads, as I said, we went down into Bethlehem, and we did find the baby, and the baby was in a manger, and he was wrapped in cloth, and Mary was on one side of him, Joseph was on another, and there were all animals in the stables with him as well. And once we saw the baby, we couldn't just leave and go back up onto hills. We wanted to tell everyone about this great, amazing news. And the news is this, that a loving God has come down into a lonely earth.
Wow, that's a cool thought.
Speaking of pretty cool, I think our snowmen are ready to decorate now.
Oh, decorating? I love decorating.
Okay, so to decorate them, we're going to need some icing and some bits and pieces to decorate with. So first of all, we're going to make up the icing. Now, this is not a very precise operation. I've got a bowl. I'm going to pop some icing in. We don't need a lot, so I'm going to estimate that at about half a cup of icing sugar. And then you need just a tiny amount of water. Start with literally just a teaspoon. It looks like it's gone to nothing, but as I stir that in, it might need a tiny bit more. But you can really easily go over, so just go really carefully with it. Because if you overshoot with water, you have to add masses of icing sugar to get it back. There we go. I might have slightly overshot after all that. No, we're all right. We're saved. Christmas is saved. So give it a good mix about. And that's just about right. So it'll ooze off a spoon. The word ooze is a bit Nigel. Now, if you've got a piping bag or a like a Ziploc sandwich bag, you can pop it into that and use that. If not, we can just use the back end of a spoon. But I'll show you what we're going to do with this. I can show you in both ways. So let's just slightly turn the bag inside out. You want to get the icing down into the corner. If you've got a proper piping bag, so much the better. So in your corner, you want to get a pair of scissors and snip off a corner. You want to make a hole that an ant would struggle to squeeze through, okay? If it's not quite enough, you can make it bigger. But there we are, it just comes through. There we go. Right, and we've got some Smarties or some M&Ms. You want to fish out the orange ones, because they're the best ones, and also because we're going to use them to make the snowmen's noses. If you are familiar with the film The Snowman, and why wouldn't you be, you will know that snowmen don't always have carrots for noses, sometimes they have oranges. And to make this look just like the snowman from the film, we're going to cut these Smarties in half. There is a bit of a knack to it, so that your Smartie doesn't just shatter into 1,000 pieces. Tip of the knife on the board, rest the knife on the Smartie, and then keep hold of it and just push down and through. Okay? Tip of the knife on the board, rest it on the Smartie, push down and through. It'll help if you've got a decent knife. But there we go. And again, needless to say, not a job for a small child. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, there's a funny. Lovely. Right. We've got all our bits and pieces. We've got some little chocolate balls to be bits of coal. We've got Smarties. We've got icing. We're ready to decorate. So your snowmen might have slightly stuck, but you can just ease them off. Should be nice and cool. And now this is the fun bit. If you're using a spoon, just get a little bit of icing on your spoon, little dab where each of the eyes are going to be. Ooh, just like that, and then glue on a bit of coal. Or if you're using your impromptu piping bag, you can go dib, 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 and one for his nose. So we're going to do little bits of coal on here. And a nose on there. And then he needs some buttons. So let's give him a little squidge there, and there, and there. Let's go green and red, so he's extra Christmassy. Back when I was a young girl, Smarties were actually the colour that they said they were. Brilliant, we're going to get on with the rest of them. So 2 eyes. Some coal for a little smiley mouth. And if you've got little kids, this is such good fun for them to do. You can get them to do the piping, which is always a good laugh for all involved, or you could put the icing on and get them to glue the sweets in place. Snowman number 2. And if any of your snowmen have sadly lost their head in cooking, you can just pop a bit of icing along the sort of the neck seam and put them back together like Frankenstein's snowman. First. I did look into making this noses look like carrots, and I looked into candy corn, but I discovered 2 things about candy corn. One is that they wouldn't look right because the end of them is white, and the other is that according to every American I've polled on this, they taste absolutely disgusting. So we've gone with orange Smarties instead.
Why did the cookie go to the doctor?
I don't know, Harry. Why did the cookie go to the doctor?
Because he was feeling crummy.
Definitely didn't just lick my finger. Two. Ooh. Three. And a nose. Now I feel a bit silly doing this, but I do know that all of you who are watching this aren't actually watching this because you're all busy doing this as well. I hope it's going really well for you and your snowmen are looking fabulous and festive, and that you've managed to not eat them in between making them and decorating them. These are not going to last long in this house. We are as enthusiastic about eating as we are about baking here. This one's looking nice and dumpy. It's a bit me post-lockdown.
Julie, do I look like a snowman?
Oh, here, this might help.
Oh.
Right, now these next couple I'm going to do using a spoon just to show you how it works. So, a little bit of a dib there. I sound like a mad Boy Scout. You see, it's a tiny bit messier, but it doesn't matter, and let's face it, it's white icing. It looks like snow. He looks evil, let's put some eyes on him. Go. And you can even just put the icing straight onto the things that you're sticking down, and that might make it even neater. Lovely. Let's try that with this. Again, this might be an easy one if you've got really little kids. Just dip your decoration in the icing and stick it down. Sniggering to himself over the other side of the kitchen. Should have put his nose in first. There we go. Right, so if you're doing it with a spoon, just want to get not too much on your spoon, little dip there, little dip there, whoop, and a little line there. Go on, behave. There we go. Eyes. Woo! Run away cold. you go.
Julie, can I have a cookie, please?
All right then. Here you go.
Oh, thank you very much. It literally tastes like Christmas. Julie, what do you think Shepherd Dan meant when he said a loving God had come down to a lonely earth? I mean, that happened 2,000 years ago. What does it have to do with us?
Well, you know how we've made these snowmen all together, you and me and everybody at home? Well, it's lovely to do things all together because God made us to be together, to have friends. And the best friend that we could possibly have is God, because he made us and he knows us better than anybody else. God wants to be friends with us so much that he sent his son Jesus to be with us, God with us, here at Christmas. So we can be together with him and friends with him forever. That really is good news for Christmas.
Oh, well, I think this has been a good morning. We've baked some lovely snowman cookies and learnt that God wants to be friends with us. That's a pretty good morning in my book.
I've really enjoyed it, Harry.
Bye, Julie. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Harry. Bye, everybody.